everyone. On our latest episode of TheAryaPod, I'm joined by Sujit Janardhanan, a marketing leader who has led growth at some of the most iconic tech brands like Google Cloud and AWS, and now serves as the Chief Marketing Officer at Neysa, a full stack AI acceleration cloud company. We talk about the path to becoming a CMO, building a leading high performing teams, the real impact of AI on marketing, and many more things. Welcome to the show.
Welcome, Sujit, and really excited today, to talk about different, subject matters on marketing. And How are you doing today?
Very well, as in it's pouring cats and dogs outside. I was hoping that I don't get delayed for this particular recording and get that to impact our conversation in any way. I think I had a good start. So thank you for having me here. Always a pleasure to share and learn along the way while having conversations like this one.
We started our day around 8:30 today at the studio, and before starting our recording, we were having conversation about our day. How do we start? And I was pretty surprised. Look, and when you told me you get up at 4:30 every day, 4:30 a.m.
Yeah,
So
I try and ensure that I manage that in most days. There are days when you had a long day and you end up having a long dragged on day, in which case it's not a 4:30, but otherwise most days, yes.
how do you manage? Like, how does it go about? And I've been talking about listening so many leaders talking about start your day early. So tell the audience about
But it's more a way of life. This is something that I started following and inculcating maybe around 9 odd years back.
Mhm,
Um, it was about as a result of a very simple challenge that I was trying to solve. I always felt like I was falling behind.
mhm,
And while I tried to do everything else in terms of being trying to organize day schedules and organize how I manage my time and tasks, etc., I realized it wasn't enough. So there was something that I needed to fundamentally change. And in that journey of exploration, I figured out this whole thing that if I can start earlier than the rest of the world, I probably have a better chance of feeling like I'm ahead of the curve. And it was not just about staying ahead of everyone else or the world around me, but more to find time for myself and my family. All of those things were really critical. And I realize I have my best positive energy available to me during the first half of the day.
mhm.
And I keep on telling this to, in fact, most of the folks who work with me, that if you want my brains to be used while we're having a conversation, it's best to find time with me in the first half
Okay.
of the day. The second half of the day, I'm pretty much droning out in most conversations.
Mhm.
I can listen, but I will not be able to contribute.
Lovely. So let's talk about more about your journey, Sujit, over the years, right? Having led such top tech brands from Google Cloud to AWS, Cropin, McAfee. Tell us more about your journey over the years. How did that happen? Did marketing happen by chance, or just run us through everything here?
I think I w- and I think this is true for most of us. As in, we think we design a lot of things in our lives, and yes, you may have certain intent in place, but a lot happens along the journey, and hence, I would say, at least in my case, it was definitely not by design. A lot of things just happened by default as a result of me probably landing at the right place at the right time, taking risks and bets along the way, which I had no clue where it's going to land me, frankly. To probably give you a glimpse of my journey, right? And I kind of try and share this with most of the folks when they ask me, okay, what's been your journey or story? Point number one, I'm not a marketeer by education.
Hmm.
In fact, I don't have an MBA at all. Okay. I am not an engineer,
Hmm.
but I'm in B2B tech marketing.
Hmm.
Um, well, I just happened to land in the B2B tech marketing space way in the early 2000s, in fact, 2000 to be precise, when a lot of the large global B2B tech brands started taking India seriously and wanted to increase their go to market presence and be able to sell more and create better, more impact in the Indian economy. And the agency that I was working with just took up that particular opportunity and said, hey, let's work with these brands because these folks were looking for agencies to operate
Hmm.
with them. And at that point in time, no one understood what B2B marketing was. Leave aside B2B tech marketing.
This is 2000 when?
Exactly 2000.
Okay.
Okay.
Mm.
And that's where my journey started. So I accidentally got exposed to B2B tech marketing
Mhm.
and I just fell in love, not just with the marketing part of it, which at that point in time, it was largely below the line marketing. There was nothing called as digital marketing. Probably the only direct marketing that existed was physical direct mailers, postcards, fax machines, and then calling people, inviting them over, having a conversation, and so on and so forth. But what I really loved and that got me intrigued was how technology works at the back end to be able to enable things in the front end for organizations and for those organizations for their customers and consumers. And that fascinated me. And frankly, for the first couple of years, I could not understand anything because I wasn't an engineer. So for me to even understand how some of this tech works was really, really complex. But I dove right in. I learned along with my customers who were communicating and helping their customers understand how does this technology work, how will it help them, and I learned along the way. And I've never looked back. For me, every single day, technology continues to keep on fascinating me on how it keeps changing lives, mostly positively. In some cases, I think the onus is on us as humans and probably owners of these tech brands, also people who are probably making it useful for users on ensuring that it's more positive than negative, so that we can constantly ensure the whole human race keeps progressing forward rather than having negative impacts that's probably more like side effects rather than the real intent or objective.
Any interesting story as you started up, and when what you don't see today, especially with the young generation, and as you said about door-to-door sales earlier. So, any interesting story for the audience?
Oh, ton. Interesting stories is I've got just interesting stories. Um, I'll give you certain pivots along my journey. Maybe those are interesting stories.
Yeah.
Okay. And these are also probably points in time that kind of educated how I've looked at my career, my own perspective to both marketing and what roles I really like to sign up for, etc. I think the first pivot was, like I mentioned, when I got exposed to B2B tech marketing in the agency world. And in the agency world, and I used to largely be a client servicing
Got it.
person. And I would throw ideas at the customer and the marketer at the other end and get them excited about an idea so that I can then execute it for them.
Also listen to them a lot and face the
Exactly.
heat. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All of that. And there was one thing that kept troubling me a lot. I would keep throwing ideas. It'll excite the marketeers on the other side of the table. They'll say, "This is awesome.
Okay.
Okay,
Karte hain.
let's do this." Karte. And then they will go and disappear for 2 weeks. And I would not understand what just happened.
Okay.
And then I would bring them back and say, "Hey, that idea
Kya
was
hua?
great, right? As in, why don't we take it to market?"
Yeah.
And they'll say, "Oh, no, that will not fly. Hold on. The business is thinking some other way." And I used to be always almost annoyed because I could not figure out what's going on the other side of the table. That good ideas, which someone gets excited about, doesn't still see light of day. And that got me to keep looking for an opportunity to go on the other side of the table. And it happened with a customer of mine, Mr. Batliwala. I hugely admire him because he's also my guru on figuring out my way around the corporate world, by the way, because till then I was on the agency side of the world. And when he gave me that opportunity, I went on the other side of the table, I realized the marketer's job is no more about marketing. It is about ensuring that you are able to convince and bring every other single stakeholder in the business on the same page. And for that, you need to understand a few things. One, you need to understand your customer deeply. And not just say that I know my customer in the sense, who do we sell to or market to and what's their job title. No, what happens in their day-to-day life? What do they really, really care about? What are their fears? What really drives them to make decisions or not make decisions? And you need to understand them at a human level in context of the business that they operate in, the market that they operate in, the market that you operate in, including your competitors, and understanding your product in context of competitors and in the customers' lives. And last but not the least, understand what does it mean to be in the shoes of your other business function stakeholders. Only if you could do all of this could you get everyone on the same page. Without that, you were left to just reacting to what the business asks of you. And that was my biggest revelation when I moved to the other side of the table.
And that was one of the reasons why you wanted to move.
It wasn't. As in, it was more curiosity to understand why the hell do great ideas not see light of day? If they were great ideas and I was excited to execute because I was going to do the heavy
Also, you
lifting.
wanted to have more control. Like, I want to
That came
drive it.
later.
Okay.
That really came later. When
Okay.
I went on the other side of the corporate desk or onto the corporate side, I realized that yes, this is the context that you need to solve for. And when I would try and do my best, and I had some phenomenal failures
Mhm.
where I put my foot in the mouth. I did not understand this context of not as in figuring out how does it feel to be in the shoes of other functional stakeholders, and I could not get ideas through. So I was exactly in the same place where my marketeer customers were when I was on the agency side, and that gave me a couple of insights that mattered a lot along the way on how I designed at least how I build my own professional experience and expertise. So the first one was the fact that I need to do a lot of homework.
Hmm.
Okay.
Okay.
So that I'm very clear why we need to do something so that we can align everyone else on the same page.
Yeah.
The second part was yes, you need to have a lot of influence.
Mhm.
And influence partly also comes from one, what you bring onto the table, okay, where people strongly believe that every time Sujit would be part of a conversation, he's going to give us something that will be of value.
But does that come with some data or?
I think data is one part.
Yeah.
I would say, especially in today's world, we all believe that we pivot towards data. I still am a more of gut and intuition
Okay.
person. For me, data helps me validate.
Understood.
I don't use data to start my process. I use data to validate what my hypothesis is. That's call it my strength or my weakness.
Mhm.
In some places, it's been my weakness, but I I think I've done better more with my gut and intuition than with starting with data most of the times in my career.
But that also comes with a lot of experience, right? That intuition is a lot of
It
muscle
does.
memory across.
Experience is one, but what has also helped me a lot, and is one is reading a lot,
Mm.
being able to collect a lot of dots,
Mhm.
as I call it in today's world. Um, as in when I started off, obviously getting access to information, people's perspectives, insights, etc., was really difficult. But in today's times, it is very, very easy. So for you to pick up dots that you can keep throwing up in your canvas of thinking is very, very easy. So it's books, listening to people, following folks who have a point of view,
Mm.
who really dive deep into specific domains, ideas, concepts, etc. That has helped me tremendously. So it's not just experience, but also learning from
Mhm.
other people's perspective, etc., which doesn't necessarily translate into number of years you've been doing something.
Mm.
And then being able to connect those dots in context of what you're trying to solve could
Understood.
be for yourself, your team, for your business, for maybe other cross-functional collaborators, etc. But that's definitely been a very, very key ingredient
Mhm.
on what's mattered in being able to add value in every conversation. That is critical. I don't speak a lot. I'm very, very measured when I speak and what I speak. Uh, I prefer to listen a lot and keep computing till I believe that I've got something insightful. If I don't, I will not.
Uh, One interesting thought I'm getting right now is more about your journey and in that. So, working with such tech brands, why did you move and eventually landed up currently at Nessa? And I can just think about heading marketing at from Google to AWS. People would want to just be there,
Mhm.
enjoy those enterprise level, experiences.
That's
What
a,
was so different here?
so. I think it's something that happened naturally for me, but it's also probably very instinctive for me. I did not know this in the early part of my career.
Hmm.
Um, my whole journey has been a startup journey,
Hmm.
including with the big tech brands, by the way.
Yeah.
So a lot of folks probably don't pick that up when they look at my experience. Uh, so instinctively, I'm a builder.
Hmm.
Okay, all my stints, mandates have been either building something from scratch or where and the organization was going through a pivot
Mhm.
and saying we are not doing this right. We need to figure out a different way to do this. And obviously, yes, it's been the marketing function as the arrowhead for me because that's where I built my expertise and experience. but I've been more a cross-functional leader than just marketing. As in, for me, marketing is like headlights for the business, and if
Mhm.
you're the headlights for the business, you need to understand what's behind you,
Mhm.
and then ensure that you're actually taking it in the right direction as far as the vehicle is concerned. Um, so if you look at every experience, right from the first one,
Mhm.
which was building, in fact, that was setting up the Bombay operations for that agency,
Yeah.
and then starting off servicing these B2B tech brands for the first time. We didn't know how to work with B2B tech brands at all. We were figuring that out. So figuring those pieces out, setting up the operational setup. Then when I moved to the second agency, which was again building up the entire B2B tech marketing practice for that agency, because they
Mhm.
never did B2B tech. I
Okay.
brought my experience from the previous agency to set that up here along with another colleague of mine who now runs a full fledged marketing agency now.
Mhm.
Uh, from there to the other side of the table, which was with 3i Infotech, they had never set up their marketing function for the horizontal services. They had industry vertical specific marketing already in place, but horizontal services, they never
They
had
have never
anything, and
tested.
that was global.
Yeah.
Okay, but horizontal. So
Mhm.
cuts across all other business units. To McAfee, which was security, and they were doing enterprise marketing for the first time. Till then, McAfee had only done consumer marketing, which was the antivirus that we all are used to.
Mhm.
Okay, as in we all know about. Then, when I moved to NetMagic, it was about building public cloud, built in India for the first time. No one understood that. In fact, even data centers as a concept was pretty new at that point in time, even though they were already in operations for almost 10 years at that point in time. That was again they were doing pivot.
Okay.
They had been doing marketing, but they realized that's not working. They need to figure out a different way of doing marketing, and they wanted to reorient to AWS, which was trying to scale fast in India because they saw this huge developer base and they wanted to figure out how can they get them hooked onto their cloud platform. Short stint there, then to research and advisory from Aranka, where they had never done marketing per se, and they said, let's see if we can do marketing, build that from scratch, which was global again, to Google Cloud, which is coming from behind. In fact, Google Cloud did not exist as a brand when I joined. It was
Mhm.
Google Cloud Platform, and then there was Google for Work, and all of those were like separate brands, which were all combined together
Combined.
under the Google Cloud brand. Again, it was built from scratch. No one knew Google Cloud in the market. In fact, we had customers asking, "Why are you talking to me?" They, especially CIS, you should be talking to my marketing folks, because they thought that we are Google, which
Mhm.
is the typical ads and YouTube side of business. Um, to AgTech, which I was superbly passionate about, as in when I heard the story of the challenges that we are facing as far as
Yeah.
food security and especially socioeconomic impact if you don't enable the farmer community. And I said, let me see if I can do my bit in there. To Nesa, which is about can we ensure that India is independent, has got complete sovereign control over the AI stack that it builds for itself, both for private as well as public sector. So in each of these, everything has been built from scratch.
Is it right to say that after a certain moment you might think, okay, what next?
Always. In
Okay.
fact, and I think this is also my input to a lot of young professionals. One of the fundamental practices that I have put in place is going back to my CV slash resume every 3 months, and I look at, okay, Sujit, what's new? What have you done new? What have you been able to learn new? If there are at least 3 quarters back to back that I can't really add anything there, that's a signal for me that I'm in the wrong place doing the wrong thing.
So, especially our audiences has been someone who looked after growing themselves in marketing and also being leader eventually, some in some form or the other. Your journey from individual contributor to managing and then heading marketing, then today being a chief marketing officer. Uh, what do you think are the two, three key points they should be aligned with on becoming someone, like you in the future? Somebody who's currently being an IC kind of a role. What are those kind of skill sets they should be working on? If you can just talk about.
Okay, there. Okay, I'll try and answer it in a few blocks.
Mm.
So one is let's look at marketing per se. Okay,
Mm.
a lot of us, me included, when I started my journey, it seemed like I needed to become an expert in managing tactics and channels of marketing.
Mm.
Okay, uh, yes, important. Don't get lost in it. uh, your starting point always has to be, do you know your customer well enough to be
Mm.
able to find insights on what will add value to their life and then correlate it to the product or service, etc., that you're probably representing within that customer's universe. And that is important. Um, I don't believe as marketers we do enough of that. A few ways that I'll tell you, I do this with my own team. I push them into customer conversations. I tell them that if you're not talking to customers, if you're not pitching to your customers, and if you're not pitching to your partners and getting them to be bought into the idea of why they should take you to their customers, you're not going to be able to do great marketing. You will do marketing, as in you will run some tactics and channels, and then you will show some numbers, and then you will hope that numbers work right. Okay, but you need to have the insight to be able to actually move the needle. Because marketing is a ton of it. The most important thing in marketing is actually market, and the market starts with the customer and in which that customer is operating, right? And it's super important for you to understand that part. I don't see we spend a lot of time there. So I think that's the most fundamental building block.
Okay.
Second building block, yes, learn your tactics and channels, but don't over pivot on them being the reason why your marketing will work.
It has been I think some of my conversation with folks have been all channels, and very less on the strategy part or understanding the customer. And everyone talks about, okay, ये channel कर देते हैं, इसमें से result आ जाएगा. But I think we have to go one step back.
Always,
right?
And this is where I learned one, and I think Amazon does it phenomenally well, which is always start with the customer and work backwards. Even if you're having a meeting in a room deciding about a customer's experience, they used to always leave this one chair empty and say, okay, does this align with what the customer would want? So always start with the customer and work backwards. And I think that holds true for everything that any product company or services company, any business should do, frankly. And don't forget that, because at the end of the day, if it makes a difference in that customer's life, you will be in business. Otherwise, no, you will not be in business. As simple as that. So I think that is one. Yes, know your channels, tactics. That's what I call, you need to understand brass tacks. Aate dal ka bhav is super important. Because that's where I've seen another set of marketers. So I've seen marketers who've come out of B schools, etc., who got amazing ability to think the big picture. Okay, they can think great strategies, but when you start translating them into execution plans that will land the way you expected it to land, there's a lot left wanted. There's a huge gap, and that comes from the fact that you don't know the brass tacks. How do these things land at the end? And then you probably over pivot on depending on agency partners and so on and so forth. Yes, great. But you should still know how does this land? Can it land, etc. Because then you will actually be able to also collaborate better with your agency partners. I always have this statement that the agency partners are always as good or as bad as you.
Because you're guiding him across the board, right?
Right. They are not in your business. They as much as you want to.
Correct.
You are the one in the business. But you'll be able to only guide them and collaborate with them if you understand the brass tacks, because how it's supposed to land versus as it connects back to your strategy or the big picture. Super important. So that's, I would say, element number 2. Element number 3, as in I think, is just the way you operate. And this is where I've always, and I think this has been always maybe 7 or 8 years since I've built this whole template out, which I call as the culture/talent operating system. It's basically got 2 pillars, and pillar 1 has got 3 traits, which is actually personality traits. And these are also things that I actually look for in talent when I'm speaking to them, evaluating them to see if they will be a great fit in the big picture that we are trying to solve for in any of the brands or businesses that I've been part of. Which primarily focuses on, first is, are they passionate?
Okay.
Well, seems like cliched. Passionate is, are they passionate about what they're trying to solve for? Passionate about the role that they're signing up for? Or is this a job? I'll do some things, I'll take back money home, I will get a title. Okay. Is that what matters to them? Or is it, I really love doing what I'm doing and I want to be able to do more and I need a canvas on which I can do this? So I look for passion, definitely. Second thing that I look for is accountability. Again, cliched. No, accountability, the way I define accountability is, are you someone who goes 2 steps out of what your scope defined by yourself or by the organization
And
or
for
the
the
team that
team
you're
also.
operating, that aligns with the bigger picture, mission and vision of the organization, the team is. I look for that as clearly in terms of accountability. The third, and in fact, the most important thing for me in the personality trait pillar is curiosity.
Hmm.
Are you eternally curious? Because I've always found, and this is something that I've learned about myself, is I'm eternally curious. You can throw anything at me and tell me this works, Sujit. I'll still question, is this the best way it can work, or is there a better way? Why does it operate this way?
Yeah, I've seen one thing about certain leaders is they'll not ask you if something is working. They'll ask you what we are missing out on, and
Always.
why this kind of trait is somebody developing. Do you is it more psychological or how?
Maybe it is psychological. I don't know if it is a trait that results out of it, but I think it's also what I've seen help me succeed,
Mhm.
because I keep asking questions that allows me to learn better,
Hmm.
understand certain topics, etc., a lot better. Um,
Also
maybe
because you're here to fix things, right? Not to जो चीजें work कर रही है, that's fine for you. At the
not
end, what?
necessary.
Okay.
Oh, I challenge even things that are working fine.
Okay, to optimize that further.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
And that brings me to the second pillar, okay, of the operating system, which is how you make decisions and how you operate.
Okay.
So I'm always looking for folks who are always thinking of 10x impact.
Hmm.
Okay. Incrementalism is not fun.
Hmm.
Can I really make the needle move?
Hmm.
What will it take to do that? So 10x impact always works. Percentages in terms of incremental impact is not great. It's not fun, in fact. The second thing that you look for is, well, you can think for 10x impact. Can you build for that impact and scale? So a
Mhm.
lot of us focus on building for today. Oh, we need to fix this. We need to build something now. And you start building for that. And then you realize 6 months down the line, a year down the line, 2 years down the line, oops, we are scaling now. This doesn't work anymore. Dismantle the whole thing and again start doing it. In fact, I've seen this as the bane for most Indian organizations, because we are so focused on jugaad and solving for today
Hmm.
that we forget that, in fact, it basically tells you that you already signed off that I don't think so, this is going to scale. In fact, you should start with the premise that this is going to scale. We're going to be this big. Is this going to be able to support that? If not, that's going to be a
Mhm.
problem, right? So, are you thinking to build for scale from day one when you start building? That is super important. And that brings me to the third point, which is you've done a great job, as in
Mhm.
you just have got a working system running. Awesome. Pat your back and then come back and tell me how you're going to raise the bar.
Yeah.
How is this going to get better?
Hmm.
Is there a better way to do this?
Hmm.
And that ensures that you move everyone up,
Hmm.
the organization up, teams up, your customers' experiences up, your product quality, all of that up. But this has to be a continuous engine. This combination of personality traits and operating slash decision making traits is what I look for talent, and I believe that that could be a great model to use if you are trying to figure out, can I keep on getting better
Better.
and to be a better version of myself, and then eventually, yes, see, the career path doesn't necessarily have to lead at a
Mhm.
CXO's position, and I keep on calling this out to a lot of folks. In fact, I also made a mistake.
Okay.
I made a mistake somewhere around this journey. There was an opportunity with a brand, and while I was talking to them, they said, "This is the title that we will give you."
Hmm.
And I think I was probably in 7 or 8 years down in my journey at that point in time. And I said, "No, no, I need a better sounding title."
Yeah.
Because in my head it was that if I only if I get that title will I be able to have influence,
Okay. The power.
power, correct? But I'll tell you genuinely, uh, that wasn't true.
Hmm.
That hasn't been true.
Okay.
Even today, and this has been true across multiple organizations. I have led inside sales teams, I have led customer success teams, I have also run customer facing customer service and support initiatives to be able to build better customer experiences. Today I also run alliances and partnerships. So you can actually be cross functional
Hmm.
and be able to have a much broader influence and impact. It's not in the title, it's what you actually bring onto the table.
Hmm. You spoke about 10x impact. Now let's look at different organizations. Some organization might be 2x, 5x, or 10x. So, what is actually differentiating them across the board of them reaching at that kind of impact? So, how do you look at it?
So it starts with culture, frankly.
Hmm.
It's a cultural thing. um, uh, especially when you're trying to grow by design.
Hmm.
And I think that's where, when you look at some of the big tech players, they're culturally wired that way.
Hmm.
If you look at an organization like Amazon, they got almost machine-like and missionary-like approach to how they operate.
Hmm.
Okay, and it comes from the leadership principle setup. You look at someone like Google, who's very, very focused on their end vision and mission, and
They
they
have
have a very strong
googliness across.
googliness. As in, googliness is more a trait and how
Okay.
you think and operate within the Google environment, but the values are very, very clearly defined, and
Hmm.
they are focused on ensuring that every single individual who walks into Google gets the best of themselves and are able to stay focused and move using the values in that direction of vision and mission. So uh, culture is the primary factor. And
Hmm.
I think that's another thing that I would actually share with the audience is, you need to understand what kind of cultural environments do you align the best with. Most
Hmm.
of us don't even pay any attention to it. Most of us probably pay attention to things
But how will
like,
they get to know? Like,
very easy, even during your interview conversations.
hmm.
So here's probably another insight. If someone's ever interviewing me or having a conversation to understand, hey, can we work together, I end up interviewing them more than they do the other way around, because my objective is to understand if I walk in with this group,
Hmm.
will I be able to add value, because I'll be able to bring the best of who I am.
Hmm.
If not, then it's a problem. Again, I learned this probably after my Amazon stint.
Hmm.
Before that, I did not pay attention to it. And that's the reason I'm sharing this. It is super critical. You need to understand what kind of value and culture set matters to you.
Hmm.
You probably align with, you probably will be able to bring the best of
Can
you.
you give some example of value? Like,
I'll give you a simple example. Like, bring the best of
yeah.
yourself, right? A
Because a
lot
lot of
of,
people will ask you, do you have any events or what's the policy in the office, food, all of that. And I
Hmm.
feel gone are those days.
Oh yeah, no,
Yeah.
glad you brought that point up. As in, yeah, in fact, that is immaterial.
Yeah.
Okay, or maybe I'm biased, because right from my first stint, I didn't have any luxuries at
Mm.
work. In fact, when I walked into Google, um, the first thing that hit me is all the young professionals who walk into Google have just the wrong picture of what workplaces have to be.
Mhm.
Okay,
Do they have still food around whenever they can walk in?
I'm sure they do. I don't think so. Google will ever take that away. It's an
Yeah.
amazing organization to be
Yeah.
with, in terms of at least how they think and operate.
Mm.
But organizations evolve. Okay, that's another thing. They do keep on evolving. But coming back to the what was the point that we were actually
More on the values and how do they figure out like what questions?
It's not questions to understand value. Typically, when you're speaking with
Okay.
people, you would get a clear sense of all of those things. I My questions are typically with context, saying that if you had a problem like this one,
Hmm.
how would you typically approach this as the leadership team? If I'm talking to the leadership team, or if I'm talking to maybe someone that I'm probably going to work with as part of my team, or someone who's a peer, and say, how do you think you folks solve this if you face a problem like
And
this one?
actually, this question is from Elon Musk also. He
Okay.
asked the same question.
Okay.
How do you solve? Tell me about a problem you have solved and explain me the details. And when that person is explaining the details, if he's not going really deeper, you know that
Absolutely.
there is a problem.
Always.
Yeah.
Okay. So I typically give contextual, hypothetical, or real situations, because I
Yeah.
understand the customer, the brand or products business, and I'll always ask question in that sense.
Hmm.
I do the same thing even when interviewing candidates. I don't ask them, tell me about a great marketing campaign you did. No, I'm not interested in a marketing campaign. Okay, that we can figure out together. But what I'm more interested in is, how do you think and operate? I
Hmm.
want to understand. If I throw ambiguity at you, like in my case, most of my stints have been, in fact, all my stints have been with build from scratch, in which case you will have more ambiguity than clarity.
Understood.
So I need folks who are very comfortable with ambiguity. I'm super comfortable with ambiguity.
Hmm.
Don't give me anything and I'll still make sense out of it.
Hmm.
So I need folks who can make sense out of ambiguity, and that is super important. Can ask the right questions, are curious enough to be able to dig deep and say, "Hey, here's where we can start with first principles," and super important. So, I, so you can, by ensuring that you ask the right questions, which are more contextual rather than specific, closed-ended. I always keep it open-ended because I want to see how someone navigates it,
Hmm.
and that tells you a lot about culture, etc. The other piece is, if you understand the culture. spoke to you about the 3x3
Yeah.
matrix. For me, that's also my decision making matrix on the kind of product or brands that I will work with. What's the kind of impact they're going to have? Are they really thinking 10x? They're thinking incremental. They have a short term vision, they have a long term vision. And nowadays, I'm very passionate about what's the end impact that we can create. Like in the case with Neysa, I'm super passionate about the fact that we have to ensure that India is got complete sovereign control over our AI future, and it is not governed and dictated by how the technology stack gets built somewhere else. And I'm very very passionate
That's
about
very
it.
competitive also at the end.
Super competitive,
Yeah.
super competitive, but super fun.
Understood. Let's talk about more on the, since we just spoke about culture and some on the part of the careers and what things have to be looked upon. I think tech and AI, again, specifically from a career standpoint, how's that impacting? I would not like to talk about all the GPTs of the world right now because everyone knows about it. I've been also reading a lot of articles. There's a certain age group, like between 40 to 50, currently with the whole AI ecosystem surge. Uh, would depression may be the right term? I don't know, but careers have really impacted at that kind of, for that age group. Uh, and now, how should one be aware of taking care of themselves in terms of their career growth? And if you could just add something
Yeah,
there.
it isn't easy.
Hmm.
But for me, it was never easy.
Hmm.
Okay, so for me, for example, ever since I saw what AI could do, um, I was blown. I was definitely shocked. I didn't expect the the technology to actually translate into creating impact this quick in such a short time period. Obviously, there's a lot to be still done in terms of being able to have the right kind of guardrails from a safety, ethics, um, uh, privacy, data, all of those things. A lot of things from a responsible AI perspective. We still have a lot to solve. But that said, for me, my always existing uh, motivation, driver, fear had been that I will wake up one day and walk into my workplace and someone will tell me, Sujit, you become obsolete. You can go back home.
Layoffs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And not just layoff. It's like you're no more needed. Not
Yeah.
just you're getting fired, layoff. That's see, layoffs, fire, getting fired, etc. That's part and parcel of business. But I'm saying you are no more
Not needed.
relevant.
Hmm.
That has been my fear and driver for a long period now.
Hmm.
Because if you look back at my journey, I started as a hotel management graduate who did not know what he wants to do, lands in this fantasy world of B2B tech, and then suddenly tries to navigate it. So it's been from there. So I really had to build myself up. If you knew the Sujit 27 years back, he could not put together two sentences of English.
No.
If you asked me to stand in front of three people and voice his point of view, Sujit would have probably pissed in his pants. And
So
I
you
said,
feel this kind of audiences are not being curious enough for learning themselves?
see, a lot of us, uh, if you look at as our intrinsic trait as human beings, is to choose the path of least resistance. We're lazy.
Yeah.
Okay, we ideally want to put
Chill.
the least amount of effort
Yeah.
and be able to achieve something.
Chill.
So that's intrinsic. Okay,
Yeah.
that's in our DNA. So I don't think so. That's that you can challenge.
Hmm.
But I would also blame it on the construct of how organizations got built over the years. That it forced us into these silos. Only do this. Don't use your brains. You're not
Also with
expected
the
to do anything.
education system, I feel, right? From the
Education system is part, but
Yeah.
if you look at also the work environment, right? If you look at industrial revolution, and it was all about just do this.
boxes. Yeah.
Okay, I want efficiency.
Hmm.
Just move the stuff faster through
Hmm.
the. And then came the whole information age, and suddenly we are now talking about the intelligence age, and it's like it's rapidly evolving.
Correct.
But where is a framework for someone to help me figure out how do I evolve along with this? No one. And imagine if, as in, we can change the education system, and probably the students coming out of it, the next generations that are going to come out of it, probably can have a better perspective on how to deal with this evolution. But imagine folks who are already out and were already in straitjacketed environments and suddenly see all this evolution happening around them. Who's preparing them?
How do we survive in this environment, especially for the younger
And
audience?
I think, in fact, AI is a great boon. It's not a bane. Okay. And I'll give you my own personal experience. And I'll give a simple example. Uh, I understood markets, ecosystems very, very well. I had a lot of dots in my head. I could connect them, but I still needed to be able to research and validate a lot of the hypotheses, be able to bring a lot of information and intelligence from across the world and from
Correct.
different sources and make sense of it, be able to brainstorm, uh, which is typically what you call as market research in the marketing world, right? Before I put together my strategy or say this is how we should do and why we should do it, and so on and so forth. Uh, the only way I could do this in the past was I would have to bring in a research agency or some set of analysts, pay them, or spend a lot of time with them, and I'll still probably not get it right.
Mm.
Okay. Today, with AI as my assistant, I'm able to. I've created GPTs for different kind of things that I want to do. There's brainstorming I want to do. There's research I want to do. There's creative jamming that I want to do. I've created my GPTs for each of these areas, and I keep playing with them every single day.
Mm.
Suddenly, it has multifold changed the way I can get things done, both for
Correct.
myself and for my team
And
and
with a lot
for
of speed.
super speed.
Yeah.
All right.
Mm.
So suddenly, my experience is getting amplified.
Mm.
So for folks who have this challenge that, hey, I've been doing, you have gathered a lot of experience and context,
Mm.
which doesn't exist for the younger folks, by the way.
Mm.
Okay. Who may be able to adopt the technology faster. Yes. But they don't have the experience and context and they still have to solve for that part. You have the experience and context.
Correct.
And you can then learn AI with that context. If I have this experience and context, how can I amplify that experience and context to be able to create better impact in whatever role, responsibilities, domain that you're operating in? Maybe you can choose even completely different domains, which in the past you would have been really scared to do because you don't know how to apply some of these things in that domain.
Correct.
As far as your experience, expertise is concerned. For the younger folks, earlier, if I had to learn about a particular domain, product, industry, etc., I would struggle.
Mm.
As in, I really had to depend on experienced folks, talk to them, hopefully find time, hopefully gather the courage to go and have conversations. Because as a young professional, you're always scared to pretend young professionals aren't. But I am an introvert. So
Mm.
I would not be able to go and approach folks and have conversations. And I struggled. So a lot of it used to be self-learning by reading and so on and so forth. But today, frankly, you got access to the whole
So much.
world's
So much.
information and
So much is
knowledge.
available.
Okay. You can double click, dive deep, all of that stuff. So what stops you? So that helps you accelerate from that way. I truly believe that this can bring the best of what humans can do in terms of our ability to reason, think, and
Yeah.
make decisions. It will take away all our grunt,
Execution.
um, mechanical
Mm.
aspects of our jobs and roles.
Mm.
I've also been asked this question because I work with a lot of AI first innovators. That will we lose jobs, as in be it call centers, contact? I will tell you no, and I'll give you examples of both call centers, contact centers, as well as I will give you example of the farming community.
But in some of the industries, you just started losing jobs, right?
That's because both the leaders are thinking it wrong and also the folks who are building solutions are also thinking it wrong. But if you I think it was Klarna where the CEO called out that we will not need anyone in our customer support, and
Even
then
TCS, right? 12,000 people.
but I all of them, please don't just correlate it with
Mm.
AI's impact. It can also be because the
Okay.
talent is not ready to be able to adopt AI.
Understood.
So
Mm.
if you're not going to upskill, please don't blame anyone else.
Yeah.
You need to upskill. So that is super important. But I'll give you an example of contact center. Look at India as a market. We've got so many young professionals coming out.
Mm.
They don't have great language skills. They don't have great context skills to have a great customer experience conversation.
Mm.
But so many organizations want more and more folks to be able to interact with their customers. Today, that can be superbly managed if I have actually an AI assistant with these young professionals who join in from day one, who are almost like their training assistants.
Mm.
Okay. Oh, you fumbled with something. Let me take this conversation and I'll have this conversation. Hand it over back to you when I know that you can manage this one. You learn with the AI assistant doing this interaction with those customers.
Correct.
Suddenly, you can make your fresh out of college graduate employee productive from day one
Mhm.
and learn faster on the job. which was otherwise bring them back into training rooms, do something, hope they will get it right when they go back in the production environment, again bring them back because they did not do well. Too much time lost, inefficient way of running training and being able to skill. That's one example. So I truly believe that contact center employees, you can actually hire a lot more. You can actually enable them to be able to do a lot more, because humans will have to be in the loop
Involved.
for at least the near future. I don't expect that humans can be taken out of the loop at all, especially where experience is critical.
Okay.
You can't leave it up to chance. I will take the example of my passionate space, agriculture. So this was one of my field trips in Jharkhand, and the Ministry of Agriculture representative was taking me around villages in Jharkhand, and he said, "Do you know, Sujit? You look at all these houses in these villages. Almost 90% of them, the males who are physically able, have all left to go to cities to earn a few $100 more that they can send back home. All of them have landline. The elderly folks, kids, and the females, they are not able to do anything with the land because they don't have any know-how how to till that land or grow a crop, or none of that knowledge exists. And if you have AI that can power in their language with voice and audiovisual to be able to teach them how could they do farming, okay, suddenly that land can become productive and can add to build a sustainable livelihood for those folks. Simple examples. I think what AI does is, and this is another thing that I keep on telling people, don't look at AI as a tool, please. AI is a technology that can fundamentally allow you to rethink how anything gets done.
Enabler also.
It is huge enabler. It is, but you'll have to reimagine it. If you're going to take the old playbook and say, can now AI do, one is you got it wrong. You will either not be able to you will not be able to make ROI sense or total cost of ownership sense. None of that. So if you fundamentally rethink, because now with AI you can do so many things differently. So I would say challenge yourselves to rethink differently with AI and don't look at AI as a tool. That's my long answer to that question.
Thank you. So tell me more about yourself. How are you planning next things? What is the next jump you're looking at? What is keeping you excited?
So at least in the immediate future, I don't see anything other than Neysa on my table. But what I've definitely charted out for myself, and that I'm very, very intently passionate about, is being able to teach kids, not marketing, but how to understand the context of the work environments and professional environments that you folks are going to walk into. Not really just soft skills.
Are you doing it already, like teaching?
No, I do it more through one-on-one mentoring. When young professionals reach out to me, I do keep myself open on LinkedIn. So if anyone does ping me and ask me for advice,
easy to reach out to you? Or
very easy, very easy.
Okay.
In fact, I'm catching up with someone this Friday.
Okay.
So always open. Okay. I love sharing my experiences. So none of the stuff that I have learned is from books. I have actually no theories and frameworks that I've learned from other gurus. I've tried, tested, failed, and figured out what has worked. And hence can share examples of what's worked and how to think, operate, reason, make decisions, etc. So
giving back also might be giving you some form of
it is.
gratification.
It definitely is. Because it has got more to do with the fact that while I learned a lot from a lot of folks, but it wasn't as a result of someone proactively doing it. It was more as a result of that I was doing it myself. But I genuinely feel that we could actually create so much more impact if we got a younger professionals to learn some of these things earlier in their career. And I think we will have a much more fun environment to operate in. I would love to work with all of them too. And the second part is I genuinely want to find great product companies in the country, not necessarily technology products, by the way, who obviously are in the B2B space, and help them scale.
From a mentorship standpoint?
Not just mentorship. I want to put my skin in the game. So I will actually operate with them and help them scale.
Okay.
My intent is not to just advise and mentor them, because I have a bias towards advice and mentorship. I love to stay. Even with the younger folks, I always tell them, keep me posted on how things go.
Hmm.
Not just that you spoke to me, I gave you some advice and gyan, and you go out. I would love for them to come back and share with me, hey, this worked, this done, this didn't, and I would be able to work along with you to be able to ensure that
But
we
on a specific industry is something that might be
not
keeping you
specific
excited.
B2B for sure,
Yeah.
not a specific industry.
Okay.
Because I genuinely believe that we need to create a lot more employment in our country,
Hmm.
um, and that will mean that we need to be able to empower and enable a lot more entrepreneurs. I love a ton of initiatives that are run across this country, but I think we need more of folks like me with experience also to go and do our bit.
Hmm.
So I would love to do that.
Lovely. Uh, how about yourself in terms of taking care? And with this title also come with a lot of other responsibilities across the board. And
Mm.
I can say, how do you keep yourself sound? Uh, you know.
One is, I think finding your me time with yourself, with your loved ones is super important. That keeps
Hmm.
you grounded.
Hmm.
Um, I think that for me is the most important thing that's worked. And then my two other, I would say, soul fulfilling activities is road trips in my car space and books.
Where did you visit last?
Oh, it's been ages since I visited. As in as in the last country that we visited was actually South Korea. We loved the
Lovely.
experience. Um, I did a road trip there too. So
Ah,
every country I visit, I do a road trip. I have to get the experience of how does it
you
feel
drive
to
a lot. Oh,
always. So I just love being on the road with my music on and just the long winding road. So it's super fun. Books a lot. I think those are probably three, four things.
any specific book you want to recommend?
No, one is I don't remember book names,
Hmm.
authors. Just don't. I
Okay.
don't have any favorite books. There's only one that I recommend a lot to folks, especially folks who are closer to my age group, like 40s, etc. Um, it's called Passages by Gail Sheehy.
Okay.
I got recommended this book when I was 34, I think.
Okay.
Um, I was soul searching.
Soul searching.
Yes.
Wow.
I had a lot of questions. It seemed like I was lost. I didn't know where I was. Am I headed in the right direction, and so on and
Okay.
so forth. I was a young father, all of that stuff.
Hmm.
And I thought I needed an executive coach. So I reached out to a gentleman. I don't remember his name, by the way. I reached out
Is
to
it
him through
close to a
LinkedIn.
therapy or something like?
I don't know. Was it? No, I do therapy, by the way.
Oh,
But I just started that recently.
okay.
But at that point, I didn't know I was looking for therapy. I was looking for someone who could like coach me.
Yeah.
And I reached out to an executive coach, elderly gentleman, senior exec. I don't remember his name. He was based out of Bangalore, and he heard me out. I spoke to him for almost an hour, and this was late in the night, and he was very patient. And he told me, Sujit, I don't think so you need an executive coach. You just need some perspective with your experience. I would suggest you go and read this book,
Hmm.
Passages by Gail Shea. And I said, okay. I went and bought this book.
Hmm.
It was lying on my bookshelf for almost 3 years.
Wow.
I didn't read it. I picked that up after almost 3 years, so maybe around when I was 38. I read it. Since then, I've read that book 4 times.
Wow.
Okay.
What is the
And
underlying
the
message?
underlying message is everyone goes through the same kind of cycles or phases of life.
Hmm.
Your experiences may be different, but how you interpret it
Hmm.
because of those phases in life are very, very similar.
Hmm.
Okay. And there are a lot of other underlying things that I also learned along the way. And this was another close friend of mine, Alvin Saldana, who actually gave me this know-how. So typically, what we call as midlife crisis. Okay, at least, and I strongly believe this particular theory. You know the chakras in our body,
Yeah.
right? So there's something called as a Visuddha chakra at the
Hmm.
bottom of your throat. So typically around that middle life phase of your journey is when your Visuddha chakra gets activated. So it starts talking inside you. So that's
Okay.
how you start questioning everything.
Hmm.
Okay. And that's what it is. But Gail Shee's book is all about her experience and her interpretation of how these phases happen and how it's almost like a very familiar template, very similar to our Vedas also,
Okay.
where there's a life journey that
Yeah.
everyone goes through.
True. Yeah.
Okay, so it isn't any different. Your experiences may be different. How you interpret it may be different. But if
Okay.
you understand this underlying framework,
Mhm.
it becomes a lot more easy to
Easier.
get a perspective that is that's easy for you to then help navigate life. I think that's probably one book that I recommend a lot, but it depends upon context.
Mhm.
I will not recommend it to anyone and everyone. I
Anything,
think mostly when you're around that 35, 40 mark, it will be a good book to
and you
pick.
connect well with the
You will
subject.
be able to.
Yeah. Okay. Anything on the sports side you do?
No, I was a soccer player. I love all of it, but
Lovely.
I don't find time for that
Okay.
anymore.
Which is your favorite club?
No, I don't follow.
Any club?
I don't watch anything that's live TV anymore.
Oh, okay.
Uh,
Conserving your energy or something?
not conserving, as in yeah, probably it is. But I do watch. But I binge watch series a lot.
Okay.
I love good movies, so I'm a movie fan buff. So I keep on finding movies that are abstract and it'll really like challenge your brain to understand what the hell is going on in every single frame. So things like those I do spend a lot of time on, but not live content, including news. I don't like news.
I mean, today's news, it's very subjective to talk about. So,
Correct.
yeah, it's fine. Great. I think we are pretty much at the end of our conversation. And I'm blown away with the subject we spoke about today, and really thankful for coming here, spending time with us. And I hope there's a lot of value for the audiences, just to think about whatever we have spoken. Any last message you would like to, cover for the audience?
No messages. I like I said, for me, everything's been through my experience lens. So I have my biases. I'm very conscious of my biases.
But you're pretty much open about sharing. No, that's
I am.
so good.
I'm always open to listen to perspectives. So in that sense, great. Yes, but like I said, I think if we all can operate with a little more curiosity and a little more empathy, both to yourself as well as to people around you, I think we can actually build a better place.
Yeah, and world is a better place, and
Yes.
workplace is a better place.
Yeah, absolutely. And in every sense. And that's the reason I use the word place.
Yeah.
I think those are the two things that I would just leave as a last message.
Great. Thank you, Sujit, for coming down. Really appreciate this, and really thankful.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Sunil. It was
Thank
a
you.
pleasure.
Thank you for watching the podcast till the end. If you like the session or if you have any feedback, be it critical, positive, do drop a comment in the comment section for us. It really helps us to improve the quality, and we know that what is the content you would really love. Also, do share the content with any of your loved ones. They could, scale up their career, do wonders with a very small insight too. So looking forward to it, and stay tuned for our next session. Thank you.